The co-captain was doing his job. He was simply trying to move the boat in just enough to where the cruise ship can park safely in its identified location. However, it quickly escalated into a fistic encounter.
Anything of a racial nature at that point between the people who were at the boat?
So, as it relates to racial epithets in conversation and names being called, while the Harriet was still out in the water, there was a lot of, I've seen finger gestures and comments and innuendos made at a distance. Of course, when the co-captain approached, that continued. But again, working with the local FBI, we did examine if there was enough to file hate crimes charges on this case. And again, we rely heavily on the advice from the FBI. We've also looked at what it takes to elevate this to a riot, inciting a riot. We've worked with our local district attorney, and it didn't fit the criteria for that. So the charges that we have pending on South 3rd at this time are appropriate charges for what we've seen and the behavior that we've seen on social media.
Chief Rosina Smith with.
Yes, so the 4 warrants that secured are all members of the pontoon boat, and the attack on the co-captain. And there was an attack on a 16-year-old employee of the smaller vessel that took the co-captain from the Harriet to the dock. That 16-year-old was assaulted by one of those members of that pontoon boat, and his mother actually signed warrants on one of those individuals. That individual was a 16-year-old white male employee of the smaller vessel that was operating in the river at that time as well.
Chief Rosanna Smith with WSFA, could you please provide us with the names of those suspects again and spell them for us? And then are these misdemeanor charges, or what's the ranking of these charges?
Yes, so assault third is misdemeanor charges by statute. And the names of the individuals that's wanted is Richard Roberts, Roberts. He's a white male, 48 years old. He has 2 warrants pending for assault third. Alan Todd, Todd, 23-year-old white male, has 1 warrant pending. And Zachary Shipman, Shipman, white male, 25 years old, he has 1 warrant pending.
Excellent. Also, we've been hearing that there was also possibly previous incidents with these boaters. To MPD's knowledge, was there any previous incidents with these boaters and the riverboat crew?
We have no knowledge at this time that this was something that was continued from prior incidents. This was a standalone incident, again, that was brought to our attention, and we acted on the information we had. I can tell you we looked at every avenue. There was no stone unturned. We examined this over a period of time, not only that night, but since that night. At this time, based on the way the statutes read and the way the laws are crafted, we were unable to present any inciting a riot or racially biased charges at this time.
Hey, Chief, when you said the smaller vessel, can you clarify that was not the pontoon boat, that was a different boat?
I'm sorry?
When you said the smaller vessel?
Okay, so the smaller vessel I mentioned, in which the co-captain was moved from the Harriet to the dock, was moved by a smaller vessel. A smaller vessel operating independently in the river was able to pick up the co-captain and bring him to the dock so that he could work on moving the boats that were impeding the docking of the Harriet.
Lori from NBC News and Nightly News. Can you tell us which defendant has turned themselves in at this point?
I do not have the information on the defendant that turned himself in. We do know that one has since been taken into custody by Selma PD, and the other 2 are en route to Selma now to turn themselves in. And of course, the Montgomery Police Department will do that transfer of those suspects to be transported here to the city of Montgomery.
Can you just describe the signage at the dock there? Is there signage saying "Do not park here"? This is riverboat parking only.
So there was no signage at the time. However, the mooring area for the Harriet is well defined by the dock itself, the area that's cordoned off, as well as the large poles that the boat ties off to. And you know, what we do is the Harriet is parked there all the time. That boat is out there all the time. Individuals that utilize that river and that dock are very familiar with where that larger vessel is required to dock because of the mooring that's set up, as well as the gangplank areas that needs to be utilized to get those passengers on and off the vessel.
Will there now be signs have to be put there now so it be more clear?
Well, I'll say this. There were signs there over a period of time. The signs have either been removed or blown away several times. We are looking at a new strategy to post the signs where they're more permanently attached and affixed.
One more thing, just everybody keeps asking about this racially. When people see the first video, it looks like there are, 6 white guys beating up on one black guy. Can you understand the question?
Absolutely understand the question and the concern. That's why this department went above and beyond and looked under every stone for answers. And we reached out to not only ourselves internally, but we looked at our state and federal partners to consult with to see if we're right in line with the charges that's appropriate for the incident at hand.
A question, Chief, for you and Mr. Mayor, if you would. As you all looked at the video and saw this become what it has become, can you just kind of tell us thoughts and emotions that you both felt watching all this over the past few days?
Well, first of all, this is not indicative of who we are as a city. The city of Montgomery is much better than that. Our people are fine people. We have plenty going on in terms of events. Look, that was a positive event. The Montgomery Public Schools and Hyundai Corporation getting together to do a back-to-school event. We had the boat operating in the river. We had folks downtown enjoying a good day. That's what we're about here in the city of Montgomery. We're about a good time, enjoying ourselves, and being neighborly. So it was quite disturbing that we saw this type of activity happening, and that's why the Montgomery Police Department and all of our partnering agencies got together to make sure we're doing all we can to not only bring this case to a close, but prevent it from happening in the future.
Chief, you mentioned
Alex?
Mr. Mayor, can you answer this question?
I couldn't say it any better.
I know you mentioned the 16-year-old victim and the co-captain. Were there any other injuries? If so, how severe were those?
Well, the co-captain did receive treatment at a local hospital the night of the event. That's the only knowledge that we have of anybody receiving any injuries or receiving treatment for injuries.
What, if anything, do you feel could have kept this from getting so out of hand?
Well, we talk about conflict resolution and de-escalation all the time. We talk about that, and it's not only for kids, it's not only for teenagers and juveniles. Everyone must be aware of conflict resolution and de-escalation. There was no need for this event to take the path it did.
Chief, if you watch the video, it looks like there was someone from the pontoon boat who also got involved in that fight. Are they going to face any charges for their role that they played in that fight?
Well, again, we have many, many more interviews to conduct. We're going to ask everyone that we previously interviewed, as well as the videos that we were starting to receive. As we identify additional folks that we need to talk to, we'll ask them to come in, and we'll try to locate them and do further investigation, see if charges are appropriate. Wait, let's go here and I'll come back to you. Well, my message is, again, like I just said a minute ago, the people of Montgomery, and we're better than that, in that we're a fun city, and we don't want this type of activity to shed a dark eye on what this city is all about. Again, we're going to do all we can, our due diligence, to ensure that this case is solved and put to rest, and that we don't have this type of activity going on in our city again. Sir?
You said you were reaching out to the person building the folding chair. They didn't identify the people on the pontoon boat or the people that were part of the crew of it.
Can you state your name and who you're with?
Greg Monroe, 18,
With who?
19 years.
Okay, so the individual wielding the folding chair has been identified as Mr. Reggie Gray, black male, 42 years old. We're again asking Mr. Reggie Gray to contact local law enforcement. There's more interviews for us to conduct with him, and I'm sure we'll be in contact with him in the very near future. We're asking him to reach out to us within the next 24 hours so we can, again,